If you're looking to become fluent in English but don't know how or where to start, then you've come to the right place in today's video, because I'm going to share my fluency method that I use in my own language learning journey and that I teach my students, and I'm giving to you for free. So if you're ready to level up your English skills this year, then stick around to the end of the video, because all the steps are crucial and have to be applied. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So let's get into it. The first step and most important step is to know your why. Why are you learning English? And you really want to be clear on, because it's really going to help you stay consistent with studying. I really want for you to remember that clarifying your motivation is crucial for maintaining consistency in your studies, because of course there will be times when you absolutely don't feel like studying at all, when you'll feel tired of continuing to learn English and want to stop. And there are definitely going to be challenges along the way that might hinder or even stop your progress. So it's really important of knowing your why, and having a strong and clear motivation is going to help you overcome these challenges and stay consistent in your English learning journey. So before you start the really long process of learning a foreign language, I really want you to think about your why and what you want to achieve in English. What are your goals? And to stop you from forgetting to do this step, let me know in the comments your why. Are you planning to visit or stay in an English speaking country? Do you need it for work, for school, or to study abroad? Make sure to get clear on your why, but what you want to do is to really be clear on your why, because just saying English is nice to have or know is not going to help you become fluent. A clear and strong why, like for work or to relocate, will be your anchor and motivation when challenges arise. And trust me, having that motivation will be the difference between you quitting and achieving your goals in English. My next tip is to join and be a part of an online English speaking community. If you live in a country where English isn't that widely spoken or spoken very poorly, and you want to practice and develop your skills, then joining a community that speaks English online could be a great way for you not only to be immersed, but also to have continual motivation for improving your English. One place that's always open to English learners are forums and websites designed to bring together language exchange partners. This could be apps like HelloTalk, italki, which are all about bringing together different language learners, and could be a way for you to find someone to practice with, not only via text, but also through voice calls or video calls, which you can arrange at times convenient for the pair of you. Social media is also a great tool you can use to find places where you can practice writing in English and have other people to join you. On Facebook, there are dozens of dedicated groups that are all about bringing together English language learners and giving them tips, tricks, teaching them new words, or just to be a very supportive place where you can practice your writing skills and be corrected by people who have gone through a similar experience in their own English journey as well. In many of these Facebook groups, you'll be able to access WhatsApp chats that arrange voice calls, or you can find friends to practice speaking English to. The best thing about joining a group that is designed to help language learners is that they provide a supportive space for language practice. You'll also be able to find or receive great resources for your own language journey and feel supported by other people who have gone through or have a similar level and are going through the same frustrating journey that language learning can be. Remember to also take advantage of comment sections. These can be on Facebook videos, on a post, or anything like that, where you can write a response to something you've seen or join an ongoing conversation in the comment section. This can be a great way to get casual practice writing in English and engaging in the language, which will help you Identify parts of your vocabulary that are missing and then build it, as those new words you find will have the memory of those conversations attached to them, making it far more easier for your brain to recall them and use them at a later stage. Tip number 3. Master your pronunciation at the beginning. Don't underestimate the importance of proper pronunciation and working actively to improve it at the beginning of your English language learning journey. Too many times I've seen English learners completely neglect or fail to spend the time necessary to improve their pronunciation, and it's not entirely their fault. Take a minute and think about how most English classes and textbooks are structured. Most of the time, you will find a very limited pronunciation exercise at the end of each chapter, if that, while very often pronunciation is ignored in traditional language learning classes that most people take at school. This was even a mistake that I made while I was learning French. Rather than really spending the time to hone and master pronunciation in French, I spent most of my time learning a ton of new words and spending even more time practicing French grammar. Eventually, I reached a point where I could read at a decent level, I could write well, and my understanding was getting there, but I was incomprehensible for French native speakers, and very often they wouldn't understand what I was trying to say. Even if I knew the word, I knew how to say it correctly in the sentence. My pronunciation was so off and strange, they couldn't work out, even through the context of what I wanted to say in French. When it came to taking an oral French exam, I very nearly failed. Not because my grammar was wrong, not because I used the wrong words, not because I couldn't understand the French teacher and her questions, and not because I couldn't respond. The reason I almost failed was because my French teacher couldn't understand what I wanted to say. So after that, I spent hours and hours and hours shadowing, practicing over and over again the most important sounds, and really training my mouth to build the muscles to pronounce words like a French native speaker instead of an English native speaker trying to sound French. After doing this for 3 or maybe even 5 months, I got the opportunity to speak to another French native speaker, and not only could she understand what I was saying, she was impressed at how well I could pronounce things and how much more natural I sounded compared to other English native speakers she had spoken to who could speak French. And the failure to master your pronunciation really becomes a problem once you've reached a more advanced B1, C2 level in English. Because although you can express yourself really well, and you know so many words, there's still that feeling like people still don't fully understand what you're trying to say. And many English native speakers might even think that your level is lower than it actually is. Or if you're trying to apply for a job, the employer might not take your application seriously because your pronunciation is so poor, even after you've spent so much time and effort to reach that advanced level. So what can you do about it? Well, here are some things that I recommend my students do in order to improve their pronunciation. First is picking a short passage from a podcast or video. Ideally, something where you have access to the transcript. So once you've picked a short passage, read it out loud and record yourself doing it. Then compare yourself to the original video in order to analyze which sounds you need to work on. Once you've found those sounds, try repeating the passage over and over and over again until the way that you said it is almost the exact same way that they said in the past. Next tip is to encourage any English speakers around you or your language exchange partner to correct you whenever your pronunciation is off or not fully correct. Most times people won't want to correct you because they want to be polite, but if you're the one who suggested it first, they'll feel more comfortable correcting any pronunciation mistakes, and you'll make so much more progress as a result. Also, when you're looking up a word that you don't know how to pronounce it correctly in English, make sure to take advantage of built-in features that most online dictionaries have that have a native speaker repeat the word out loud. Whenever you don't know how to pronounce a word, look it up, listen to it for a few times to get used to how it sounds, and then repeat it several times until you feel like you could say it close to natively as possible. Also, try to immerse yourself in English by listening to English podcasts and music, even if you don't understand a lot at the beginning. By just simply hearing English being spoken by native speakers over and over again, it will really allow you to pick up how English native speakers speak the language, and you will acquire those sounds in your own speech. Now, before I move on to the next tip, if you're enjoying this video and want even more tips just like this, then make sure to get my free English learning guide, link in the description and first pinned comment. Inside you'll find tips, tricks and advice for improving your English faster and more effectively, and have the same tips that I give my students for free. So if you're interested, click the link in the description and first pinned comment to get that guide. Now, with that out of the way, let's get back to the video. My next tip is focus on learning essential grammar only. Unlike what you were taught at school, you don't need to learn every single grammar point and memorize every one of the many grammar rules in order to speak English. What's more important if you want to improve your speaking skills quickly is to focus on the basic and most commonly used parts of English grammar first. So focus on things like how a verb changes in the future and past tense, and how sentences are built in English. If you want to improve your speaking skills, the most important thing that you need to remember here is that you don't need to stress about grammar. Just take things one step at a time. And this might be a completely different idea compared to what your English teacher might have taught back in your English classes at school. But trust me when I say you don't need to learn all the grammar structures in order to become fluent, confident, and conversational in English. Grammar, of course, is an important part of any language. And of course, I won't say that you won't become fluent without it. But if grammar rules are different in your native language compared to English, then it shouldn't stop you from needing to speak. And in fact, you don't really need to know a lot of grammar rules to speak. When I was learning Russian, I was told by so many people to focus on learning, understanding, and master Russian grammar first, as is very complicated for a person who doesn't speak a non-Slavic language. So what did I do? I spent hours and hours and hours dedicating myself to learning each grammar point and doing my best to not only understand it, but master its usage. And while I could understand these grammar points in theory, when it came to speaking or reading or writing, I really struggled because I didn't have the vocabulary, the experience, and confidence to speak to a native speaker. And this is the problem that so many of my English students make, is that they think that they need perfect grammar to speak, when in fact there are more non-native speakers who speak English and make grammar mistakes all the time than native speakers. We don't use all the grammar rules, and more often than not, English native speakers make basic mistakes that even non-natives avoid making. The most classic being they are, there, and there. And if you've ever spoken informally to a native speaker, you might have even seen this phenomenon up close. So making mistakes is normal, and if you feel lost and you're struggling to speak, it's better at the start not to spend all your time trying to learn every single English tense, and instead focus on the things that matter most when it comes to speaking English. Knowing tenses is only important if you're going to take a test or you're planning to attend an English speaking university. If your goal is speaking, then those grammar points will rarely be ever used by natives. So what I want you to do if you're struggling with speaking is to focus on learning the basics, so the future, present, and past tense grammar points that are most important for speaking, and then slowly expand and move on to different parts of English grammar once you feel confident speaking. Don't waste time learning grammar that you're never going to use in an actual conversation in English. Tip number 5. Prioritize learning the most useful vocabulary first. A mistake that I see way too many learners make, and is one of the biggest problems I often have to help my students with, is thinking that they need to learn every single word that exists in the language in order for it to be possible to become fluent in English. But here's the thing, you don't need an extensive vocabulary, and you don't need to memorize an entire dictionary in order to become conversational in English. The thing that you need to prioritize is to learn only the words that are most relevant and important to the topics that you enjoy speaking about in your native language, or that describe your daily life. If you have a deep passion for sports, it's likely that you'll probably need more words about that topic compared to someone who doesn't have any interest in it. On the flip side, if, for example, find cooking uninteresting or boring, you probably won't then very likely need a large and extensive vocabulary to understand and talk about this topic. Even as an English native speaker, there are still words that I don't even know and only understand through the context in topics that I have little to no interest or don't have any relevance in my daily life. And in the languages that I've learned, there's still so many words that I don't know, but that doesn't stop me from speaking. When I come across a word that I don't understand, I just either ask the native speaker I'm talking to explain it to me, or I look it up later in a dictionary. And learning words that are useful for you is one of the best ways to learn new vocabulary, because you will learn those words in context and have a personalized connection to them. So chances are so much higher that you'll be able to remember those words in the future, taking so much pressure off you that you don't need to know every single word in the English language and freaking out and feeling stressed when you come across words that you've never seen before, because you will understand that you don't need to know a dictionary's worth of words in order to speak, only the ones that you enjoy and use most often to describe your daily life. And if you want to learn those words that you come across and don't fully understand, then all you need to do is just dive into the topic and start consuming content. So reading, watching videos, talking about it, start learning those words. And by breaking up your vocabulary into different topics, it'll make you feel far less overwhelmed learning and expanding your vocabulary. So feel free to share in the comments if you're interested in more topics and strategies for efficiently and effectively learning new words. And if there's a method that you like to use, please tell me in the comments. I might create a video about the subject. Tip number 6. Building a language learning strategy that works for you. One of the biggest problems with learning English or any language at school is that they have a one-size-fits-all approach. Everyone is different and learns new things different as well, which is why it's so important to build a language learning strategy that works for you and your needs, goals, strengths, and weaknesses. If you're someone that struggles to speak but writes really well, then you need to find ways to practice your speaking skills. But if you can read a book in English really well, but struggle and find English speakers extremely hard to understand, then spending more time improving your English listening skill is more important. The thing that I want you to do is to start building habits and really try and make English and learning English an extremely important part of your day, so you'll make progress even faster. So really try and avoid studying English hours and hours and hours one day and then do absolutely nothing next week. Language learning is all about consistency. So if you have a really busy schedule, focus on studying English for 15 or 20 minutes a day rather than waiting until the weekend or when you have a day off and then spend 5 or 6 hours learning English. Really try and adapt your English learning strategy to your circumstances and schedule. So if you have a limited amount of time to study English, do it for 5 minutes a day rather than studying 5 hours one day and then doing nothing the next. It's really important here. And what I want you to remember is that short, consistent sessions are more effective at improving your English skills than spending long hours studying it. So really try and make it a daily habit rather than something you do once a week. Secondly, if you're someone that wants to improve your English skills, try and practice with another person by using a language exchange partner. Well, it will seem very scary at first, but speaking to people is crucial for achieving fluency. And a language exchange partner is a great way to practice and get ready to use English in real life situations by giving you the experience of having already spoken English to another person. We all have that one time where we were too nervous, afraid, or just lacked the confidence to speak to someone in real life who was an English native. So by having the experience already of speaking English, it will give you that confidence boost you need to go out and speak to someone in a real life situation. But that's not the only benefit. A language exchange partner will also provide you with additional motivation for improving your English and finding the time to study it and learn which parts of your English still need work. Also encourage your language exchange partner to correct or to provide advice on how to speak your English better, because very often people might not want to do that out of fear of offending you. And by seeing your mistakes, you'll make so much more progress faster. Talking about mistakes, not fearing mistakes is another thing that I really want you to remember. Mistakes help you improve. While it might feel really awkward or embarrassing at first, really embrace mistakes and learning which parts of your English need work. But the most important part is to be patient and remember it takes time. Learning a language takes a lot of time and practice. Don't rush and lose patience in the journey that you're on. Learning a language doesn't happen overnight. It takes time and practice. So be patient with yourself and really try to embrace the experience of learning another language that's different from your native one. My next tip is fun. When learning a language, it's really important and not often talked about how really enjoying the process can help you stay motivated and keep you on your journey of learning English. If you enjoy the process of learning English, you're far more likely to stick to it and not feel tired and overwhelmed by the thought of returning to learning a new vocabulary rule or even wanting to stop learning English. So what you need to do is really switch things up and not just study grammar rules or use textbooks the whole time. Instead, sometimes do something different. So listen to a podcast or watch a TV show or film on Netflix or speak to someone in English. Avoid sticking to the same things, because if you do, it will really start to make you feel stale or bored of it. And by enjoying the process, not only will you be more motivated, but you're more likely to succeed with your goals. So here are some things you can do to change up your English learning routine and enjoy the process instead. Use social media to follow English speaking accounts or use the comment section to practice writing in English without it feeling like a chore. Another thing you can do is to listen to music in English, but not in the typical way. Find a song in English with clear lyrics and translate and learn any words you don't know before you start listening to it. Then listen to that song as often as possible. Not only will you learn those new words in the song, but you'll also enjoy the process of learning English. And if you sing along to it, you can even improve your pronunciation. If there's a day you don't really feel like returning to a textbook, then watch a TV show or film in English instead. And really try immersing yourself in English content like this. Choose a show or film that you've either watched with dubs in your native language or TV show and movie dramas that you enjoy and often watch in your native language, but with a twist. Instead of watching it in your native language, watch it in English instead. Well, doing things like this might not feel like studying. You're actually learning English in the most natural way and acquiring new words, phrases, and ways of speaking that you don't get by memorizing vocabulary lists or working through a textbook. Also try role-playing scenarios, whether it's practicing ordering food at a restaurant or having a mock conversation with yourself. This could be a different way to practice speaking if you don't have a language exchange partner to speak. Another thing you can do is to set achievable milestones in your journey and reward yourself each time you achieve one of your goals. So treat yourself to a snack, take a break, or do something you really enjoy as a way of recognizing your achievements in English. This is my English fluency method for studying English by yourself from the comfort of your own home. Make sure to follow these 7 steps and you'll become confident and conversational in English in no time. Make sure to let me know your biggest lesson in the comment section below from this video. Also, if you've enjoyed this guide and want my personalized help in improving your English and achieving your goals, then consider applying for my online English coaching program. If you're someone that needs more accountability and the actual English transformation that my program provides, then we can have a chat to see how I can help you go from limited and frustrated to fully confident and fluent, so you can take advantage of all the amazing English opportunities that are coming your way. So if that's something you're interested in, then make sure to click the link in the description or first pinned comment to book a call to see how I can help you achieve your goals and whether you're a fit for the program. Now you have 7 tips for improving your English by yourself. But if you're interested in learning advanced techniques for improving and becoming fluent in English this year, then watch this video here where I'll break down a full guide giving you advanced tips for becoming fluent in English. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video and want more lessons just like this, then make sure to subscribe. And if you found any of the tips in this video helpful, then make sure to smash that like button. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!